Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Journey Podcast. Today, we are talking about one of my most favorite topics and something that has been highly requested by all of you all, which is how to increase your revenue. We're going to talk about this because a few things are happening in our economy, and I'm seeing more and more small business owners get frustrated because the revenue that they're getting this year is nowhere near the revenue that they were having in 2023, 2022, and certainly not 2021. And I want to talk about how you can work smarter to increase the amount of revenue you have without necessarily actually working harder, because we're all tired. There's a lot going on in the world. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how you're going to streamline your sales cycle, what exactly a sales cycle means, different data points and things you should be tracking in your business to help you identify ways to optimize your sales cycle and increase your revenue or increase the speed in which you're closing. And we're going to talk about how to increase your close rates so that every time you have an opportunity to sell someone, you are more likely to close them than you were prior to listening to this episode. So let's get into it. Welcome to a new episode. Hey everyone, I'm Debaun, a passionate entrepreneur and life advisor. With the Journey Podcast, you'll discover that success isn't about the destination, it's about the journey. I'm sharing stories of amazing people who've taken control of their lives. Join me on my own journey to discover the secret sauce behind reaching success with permission from no one else. One of the core parts of the Work Smart program is called Grow Your Revenue, Master Your Revenue. And I haven't done the Work Smart program group coaching in about 2 years because, as you guys know, I've been rebalancing my life and really focusing on my personal life and having more scale with the things that I do. We're going to reopen the doors very, very soon, which I'm so excited about so I can help more and more of you. And I want to make sure that you guys hear it first. So go ahead and subscribe to the podcast so that you know when the course is back open. And make sure you're on my email newsletter, which you can get on at morgandebaun.com. One of the core parts of the Master Your Growth, Master Your Revenue strategy is that you focus on 4 revenue pillars. And these are 4 revenue pillars that I use in my business every single day. Number 1 is you increase your average revenue per customer. And you increase your average revenue basically through your average deal size. Let's take, for example, you're a video production company. And you look back at your data in the last 6 months and you see my average client is closing for about $25,000, which would be amazing and a really good business. So how do we take it from $25,000 to $35,000? I want you to think through right now how you could take your average product, an average deal, or average transaction if you're an e-commerce business, and think about what are the ways that you can increase that total spend with your business. One of the things that we do, and I recommend to all of my clients and customers and small business owners, is upselling and cross-selling. So you start bundling in more products or services at the beginning of your sale process so that you're more likely to increase that average deal size. So going back to our example of a video production company, you might offer pre-production. You might say, hey, I know you're hiring me for crew and production, but here are the different offerings that we have that will help you before you get into the studio. We offer scripting. We offer set design. We offer hair and makeup. We offer storyboarding. We will make sure that we're maximizing your day and your production day. And that's an additional $10,000. Or you could offer on the back end, hey, our studio day includes 1 or 2 videos, but here's actually an additional bundle that we can give you that includes social cut downs. It might include animation, custom design, transcribing, and that will ideally increase your average deal size. So instead of just selling one product, you're selling more than one. And one of the key parts of increasing your average revenue that I think is so important, and a lot of businesses get this wrong, is we're not going to offer any discounts. The reason why this is important is because offering discounts creates a mental anchor for your customer that there is a lesser value to this product and offering than the stated price in which you gave me originally. So it kind of builds a little bit of mistrust or distrust in the beginning. Let me give you an example in my personal life. I use this site called Quince, Quince.com. I love Quince so much. It's a website and a company that is doing wholesaling of your favorite luxury products and offering them at the true value plus a slight margin, which they're relatively transparent about that margin, to me and you, the customer. So you can get things that are the same quality as Parachute or Jenny Kane, Williams and Sonoma, or Lululemon, and it's typically done by the same manufacturer as those companies or a similar factory. And so the quality is exactly the same. Now, you don't get the logo, but when it comes to things like sweaters or steel cookware, I actually don't care about the logo at all. So I care about the quality. And this website has shown me the true price of some of these product offerings that we see in the market in retail. Even when I go into Jenny Kane, which just opened a store here in Nashville, and I'm like, you're giving us 15% off this sweater, but it's still coming in 40% or 30% higher than the price on Quince. And that just shows to me that they're price gouging us so much. And it makes me not want to buy from their company at all, because I know that I could be getting the exact same product for much cheaper, because Quince has shown me that, and Jenny Kane has shown me that by giving me all these discount offers. Instead of offering discounts, what I recommend is that you offer add-ons. You offer more value for the same price. So instead of trying to negotiate down, you say, hey, you get this sweater and we're going to give you this pair of socks. Okay. You've technically decreased the price of the sweater because your price is the same and you're offering something more, but it feels different to the customer. And you're not offering quote unquote a discount. Your average deal size still would stay the same. Does that make sense? That's what I would recommend if you're trying to increase your average revenue and offer more product offerings, pre or post, things that could be complementary. Let's give another example. Let's say you are a hair company selling hair products on the internet. You have conditioners, shampoos, a scalp cleanser, the basics. So the average person is coming in, they're buying two products, maybe the shampoo and the cleanser. I would start to say, great. At the end of that sales cycle, I would offer, before they click go, I would say, hey, would you like to add on the scalp cleanser? Would you like to add on the brush? This brush is usually this price, but if you buy it now with this bundle, we're going to give you a better offer. So you're increasing your average deal size and you're kind of giving them a discount, but not in a way that feels like you're undercutting your overall price and value contribution to that customer. And that, my friends, is how you can increase your average revenue per customer by working smarter, not working harder. Revenue pillar number 2 is something that is hard to grasp at times for most first-time entrepreneurs, but one that actually has a lot of power in how you can increase your revenue without really changing that much about the kind of effort and energy that you're putting into your business. And this is called decreasing your sales cycle time. So how can you speed up the time that it takes to go from the moment somebody inbounds, lands on your landing pages, signs up for your email list, reaches out to you on LinkedIn, takes that first phone call with you, to actually close signed contract, or transaction has been completed, or bank account has been wired the money, okay? How can we decrease that sales cycle time? So if you're like me and you have enterprise clients, we track how long it takes for our average client to close. So let's say we are trying to get a sponsor for Glavity House Party Music Festival, and we're trying to close a automotive sponsor. An automotive sponsor is going to take us probably anywhere between 90 days to 120 days, 3 to 4 months to close. And I want to make sure that I'm setting up my sales team to go from 120 days to 75 to 90-day window. And the reason for that is that every moment that a salesperson on my team, or me formerly when I was the primary salesperson and my co-founders were the primary salespeople, every moment that I'm talking to this customer who is going to close is a moment that I'm not talking to somebody else. So it's the opportunity cost of your time. If that client is going to close at $100,000 and it took me 4 months to close them, but I could have gotten that same $100,000 in 3 months, then I need to do what I need to do in my business to increase that efficiency, because those extra 30 days, I'm just spending more time and resources for the same amount of money. And so decreasing your sales cycle time basically increases your margins. It increases your total revenue because it gives you more opportunity to sell to somebody else with that time that you saved. So how do you decrease your sales cycle time? Well, there's a few things that you can do. One is you can automate your sales process. This is things like investing in tools and services like DocuSign, where you can automate people signing for signature, so you're not wasting 6 or 7 days to get somebody to sign a contract. This is things like auto billing. Instead of having someone to opt in every time they're getting billed, you can have an automatic billing process that is much, much faster than you having to manually write an invoice every single time. How can you make sure that invoice is sent to them in advance and say, hey, this is going to be due in a few days versus, hey, this is due. Please pay when you're available. Okay. I see this a lot in small businesses where they know a bill is coming up, but they don't invoice until the service and stuff is completed. But the deal was already signed. So I'm going to invoice you the moment you sign the deal. Because in the event that you decide to do net 30 from invoice received or net 45 or net 15, why would I wait 15 or 30 more days till after we've delivered the service? Because then I'm dragging it out even further. So you can look at these really smart ways of moving your payment cycle earlier in the process, which also has the same impact as decreasing your sales cycle time. The other thing you can offer is more value up front. So you could say something like, hey, if you close this deal or sign this deal in the next 30 days, we'll add in a extra 5-sided tickets to the music festival. Or if you close this deal in the next 3 or 4 days, we're going to give you an automatic upgrade to a different booth size at Afrotech. These types of incentives can provide value to your customer for getting through the sales cycle faster and give you more urgency and more leverage in the process that you're actually doing with your sales offering. And that will help you, again, decrease your sales cycle time. And this is really important, especially if you're a team of 1 or 2 and you're the main rainmaker. If you're spending all your time closing, then if you can decrease your sales cycle time and increase your speed to close, then you're literally potentially even like doubling yourself, right? And that prevents you from having to go hire another salesperson to increase your capacity. So really consider investing in things like auto billing, signature SaaS products, anything that will make it faster for you to get a signature or close a transaction with your customer. All right, so the next pillar is to create new revenue streams. Now, this is the most obvious pillar. This is the one that most people do when they say, I want to increase my revenue. And they say, well, I'm going to offer more product offerings. Yes, you could do that. But there's another way that I want you to consider increasing your revenue from new revenue streams that don't require you to add a whole nother product offering to your suite, whether you're an online business, whether you have a service offering. I want you to consider what it would take to add a new revenue stream by increasing your sales channels. And when I say a sales channel, I mean, how else can you offer your product somewhere else or have someone else offer your product for you? This could be, going back to our example of the video production company, what if you partnered with a podcasting company and said, hey, you offer video to all of your podcasting clients, and we will sign on as a subcontractor to do that with you. Now, you're going to give up a bit of a margin to that podcasting company, just like you would if you were hiring a salesperson. You're going to pay them a commission for that, or a kickback. That's what they call it too. But you don't actually have to do any work. It's all upside for you. So that podcasting company might say, great, now I'm going to increase my offering set of average deal size because now I'm adding a new service and I don't have to do the work. And you're like, great, I'm getting random business that's already closed without having to go out and get the business myself. So it's a win-win. So you want to find potentially other partners who can do the selling for you. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I can walk to a variety of small businesses in my neighborhood. Coffee shops, bagel shops. We've got nail salons, Pilates, yoga studios. Basically, it's its own little area in Nashville that's very walkable, and I love that. I've noticed more recently that certain businesses have marketing within their businesses for retail places down the street. I'm seeing people do things like, hey, get an ice cream here, then go get a coffee over here at this other place, and we'll give you a discount. Right? So basically, if I'm walking and getting my coffee every morning or getting my ice cream once a week with my family, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm going to go over here and grab a coffee. And they're creating that type of a loyalty program within their own ecosystem and their own network, which is helping keep the money back into these small businesses. And as a loyal person who lives in the neighborhood, I love that. And I'm getting more value because I am a regular at these places. So how can you leverage other companies to increase your revenue stream without you having to create new products? Or how can you become the sales channel for other products and other services if you have a mass amount of people? So let's say you're an e-commerce store and you sell amazing bikinis, and they're just like the best bikinis in the world. They make you look amazing. Oops, sitting right. Everything's looking great. Whatever. Okay. How can you think about what other things might that customer want when she's on that search for that bikini? And what other things can or who could I reach out to say, hey, do you want to sell on my platform? So people who have bikinis might want to cover up. People who are wearing bikinis might want tanning oil. I don't know why I picked this example, y'all, but we're going to go with it. People who are wearing bikinis might want a sun hat. Okay. They might want slippers, right? They might need a suitcase, whatever. If you're wearing a bikini, you're doing something. So go out to other companies that offer that product and say, hey, can I offer your product on my website and add it to the cart? I need to buy that product from you wholesale, but now I'm able to offer more product offerings. I have a new revenue stream without actually having to do that much work. And that's an easy way to increase the transaction size overall. One of the sites that I love for adding products, particularly if you're in the e-commerce space, is a site called Faire, Faire. Faire is a great way you can find other small businesses that have wholesale product offerings, and you can add those to your e-commerce store or your retail shop. If you are a coffee shop and you want to start offering and selling coffee cups or travel coffee mugs, but you don't want to do the work to build that product for yourself, you can go buy them wholesale on Faire and offer them in your shop. So that is one way to increase your revenue stream without you, my friend, having to go out and build a whole new product set. Now, the last revenue pillar is one that is 100% in your control. And this one is something that I look at all the time for my sales team, which is you increase your average close rate. So let's say the price is the same, the product offering is the same, the sales cycle time is the same, but you are really good at actually closing the deal. And this means that you could look at a sales team of 10 people, and let's say you've got 5 of those people close 50% of the business they touch, and 5 of those people close 75% of this business that they touch. Then you can see how you're going to make more money really trying to duplicate the success of those people who have a 75% close rate. Typically, when I look at close rates at the individual level, including my own data, the reason why I have higher close rates is because I have better prep. I am more prepared for the meeting that I'm coming into. I've done research on the customer. I've done research on the client. I've done research on where they went to school. I have an entire memo that's sent to me, or I do myself, on who I'm about to meet with. So I have a better connection with them. 2, I have better materials. I come ready with a sales deck, or I even send them a pre-read, a media kit, or some sort of information in advance so that they're already anchored on what we're about to talk about. And then I typically have a higher close rate when I have better follow-up. When my follow-up has clear next steps, deadlines, pricing, and everything is very smooth from start to finish. That's when I'm in my bag when it comes to increasing my own close rates. And it's going to be the same thing for you, no matter what your business is. If you're prepared, if your website looks amazing, if the sales checkout process is seamless, if the follow-up process for your calls that you do, you have a script and you have a set of copy that you send immediately after you get off the phone, that's going to increase your close rate. This is what a bad close rate person looks like, okay? If you're bad at this, you are like slow. You have a meeting, then it takes you a week to follow up from that meeting. You ask very passive questions like, well, what do you think? Well, when can we get on the call next? You take freaking forever. Okay. You said you're going to send a proposal. You didn't send the proposal that you said you were going to do on the time that you said you were going to do it. We've been redoing our landscaping in the backyard. You know, guys, I'm really in my hobby era and I'm really into painting, and I have a new art studio in my backyard. Shout out to Josh for my push present. And we've been doing the landscaping. So we did a bunch of bids. We made a bunch of phone calls and said, hey, come out to the yard. We're going to redo the landscaping. Here's the design of what this landscaping we want it to look like. Tell us what the price would be. I saw everything from a 4-week time frame for someone to actually get back to us. It took one person 3 weeks to even just come out to see the yard, to even start the process. And then I had another guy who we called who came that day and said, let me come right now and look at it now, and got us a price the next day. Who do you think I went with? I went with the guy who came back that day. I said, oh, this man wants this business. He is hungry. Okay. He said, I can do it. Here's my price. He gave us a price that evening. He then had his crew come out a couple days later just to double check the kind of, I don't know much about landscaping, but they were checking for the irrigation and what materials they needed to do. And he's smart. He upsold us on actually doing all the leveling himself, because we were going to hire a separate company to do leveling. Another landscaper that we really actually wanted to give was making this beautiful 3D rendering and 4D rendering. He kept delaying it. He's like, well, we'll get it to you next week. We'll get it to you next week. And I'm like, bro, you done next week yourself out of a job. Somebody came in and swooped this business from you because you took too long to even give me the proposal. Now that 4D, 3D rendering could have been fantastic, but he misunderstood me because he thought that I would value that rendering so much that he would win the business. When actually I had already in Google Slides made my own little rendering of what I wanted to look like. Was it 4D, 3D? Did it use special software? No, but I don't care. I wanted someone to do the work, not necessarily overdo the design. So part of having a really good close rate is also understanding what your client is solving for, understanding what your customer is solving for. Are they solving for speed? Is it time sensitive? Are they solving for quality, ideas, innovation? Are they solving for convenience? right? And understanding your customer is going to be one of the key ways that you can make sure that you are winning the deal at a higher rate than you would if you went in cold turkey. So, my friends, these are the 4 Work Smart pillars for how to increase your revenue. Again, opening the door soon for the course, so make sure you're on the newsletter if you want to get into more of these types of examples. I love doing this stuff. I think it's so fun. And I think for a lot of small business owners, they get stuck when their revenue starts to plateau or it starts to slow down. They get stuck. They don't know what to do next. They don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to solve it. And it doesn't have to be so hard. You just need to walk through a logical set of steps. And you need to know your data. All of the things that I mentioned, averages, knowing your average sales cycle time, knowing your average deal size. You can't be intimidated by looking into whatever backend platform that you're using. So if you're an e-commerce site and you're on Shopify, you can get this information. You need to learn how to digest that dashboard. If you're a website, back in the day when we were really crazy about website traffic at blavity.com, I used to be in Google Analytics every hour, looking and seeing what articles were trending. How often were people coming back? Are people who are in our newsletter more likely to come back to the site? We used to find out that people who are in our newsletter were more likely to spend like 2 times more time on the site or visit more pages than someone who just came from Google, or someone from Facebook would only visit for 10, 20, 30 seconds because they're in the Facebook mobile browser. So really understanding the pathways of sales for your customers is another way that you can get better data and insights. And that would be my last thing that I want to leave you with today, which is if you have not set up data infrastructure for your company, if you have not set up a way to track information, whether that is your customer data, whether that is tracking how someone's getting to your site, the success of the advertisements that you're doing, you're not using things like affiliate links or tracking links. If you have not done that, you are missing out on a treasure trove of information that will help you make more money. And frankly, it's just dumb. Like, it's just not a smart use of your time. And I know that you don't want to be that person. You're probably just that person because it's intimidating. You don't know where to start. What I recommend is for you to just get started with the tools that you already have. Let's even just take your Instagram or your LinkedIn. There's always a button on LinkedIn that says LinkedIn Insights. Go in there. Go in there today. Look up the terms. You don't know what an impression is? Google it. Ask ChatGPT. You don't know what an engagement definition is on TikTok? Ask ChatGPT. With AI, we have no excuse to not learn new things because it's already there available to us. When you had search engines, you had to parse through all this information to decide what was real and what wasn't real. But with these LLMs and ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you're using, they have already done the parsing of information for you. So I want you to dive head into it. It has never been easier than it has been today to be able to understand the data that your business is using. And it will help you unlock so many doors on how you can actually increase your revenue without having to change that much or add all these new product offerings or do new product launches. There's a way for you right now. You're leaving money on the table. And I do not want you to do that this year of 2024. I'm going to stop yelling at you now. I hope that you had a fantastic day. I hope you are like energized by this episode. Please DM me. Tell me how you're going to change your perspective on growing your revenue. Send me a response to my newsletter that goes out. If you're watching this on LinkedIn and watching this live, leave a comment. I want to know what's inspiring to you, but more importantly, I want you to share with other people who are listening to this episode so that they can learn from your example as well. And with that, my friends, I'll see you on the next episode of the Journey Podcast. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Journey Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review and head to our Instagram and YouTube to leave a comment. I look forward to hearing how this podcast has made an impact on your own journey.